There's a lot of difficult words. There's a lot of words you don't really see in real life. However, these slice of life mangas like this one, the Karakai Jouzu no Takagi-san or Yotsubato, they really talk about the Japanese life, so you can get a lot of useful words, words that you would use if you went to Japan. So this one were really good. However, when studying with mangas, there were some issues. Mangas use a lot of spoken language, so it's not word that you can find in dictionaries. Like this example is from Tokyo Revengers. Tokyo Revengers is a delinquent manga, so they talk a lot of uh, harsh words, like words that you can't use every day. So if you don't understand like zurizo, where this coming from? Uh, well, it's the word zurui. However, it's spoken language, so it became zuri. So that's a problem when I was trying to read, like I was still a beginner, so I didn't know the word. And well, however, all in all, I could kind of understand the mangas. And then I decided to try the JLPT for the, and I got the Yonq. Back then, there were only 4 levels of JLPT, so I got the first one. When I was a kid, I tried JLPT once, the Yonq. However, I thought it was too hard, so I was kind of surprised that I could get the Yonq now, and it really uh, became my motivation to study more. So I want to know more about Japanese. And then I got my Nintendo DS. Oh, it's old by now, but yeah. And I started playing games in Japanese on my DS. So I would play anywhere. I would be in line for, uh, I don't know, the bank or such, and I would be playing. I would be playing inside the bus. I would be playing everywhere. So it helped a lot in being in contact with Japanese every day. Also, I got this Kanken DS. It's not really a game. It's a study material for the kanji kentei in Japan, which is the kanji test. So this one really helped me improve my kanji, not only the readings, but also writing and so on. Also, not only games, but I tried to use the internet in Japanese too. So my YouTube, I would use in Japanese. I would use my Twitter in Japanese, and not only the language, but also changing the region. So you can get more Japanese content for you. Also, by using it every day, even if I didn't know how to read these, uh, these kanjis, like trending or so, by looking at it every day, I kind of assimilated what it means. So maybe I couldn't read, but I could understand. So that's fine. Also, back in the 2010s, Nico Nico video was a thing. Um, Japanese didn't use YouTube so much, so every Japanese video was in Nico Nico. Well, nowadays, it's not really used anymore. It's still up there, but I just check it sometimes for mangas or so. And by using the internet every day and playing games in Japanese every day, like being in touch with Japanese every day, I tried the JLPT. And well, the key point here was because there was a lot of variety. Like I wasn't just playing the same game every time. I was playing a lot of games. I would be checking the internet for different videos, gaming videos, or YouTuber videos, everything. Also, it became an environment where there was only Japanese. Like here in Brazil, it's really hard to be in touch with Japanese all the time. because, well, everyone talks in Portuguese. It's Portuguese everywhere. So in order to assimilate the Japanese, I would use Japanese wherever I could. So the internet in Japanese, the games in Japanese. I would take notes in Japanese sometimes. And also there were a lot of interesting stuff on the internet in Japanese. It's like not only the games and the animes that I like it so much, but also like news or new shops in Japan or sightseeing spots in Japan. That was really interesting. So by watching interesting stuff every day, you don't get tired of it, you don't get bored. So you can keep studying Japanese without that, without being bored, without being, oh, that's enough. I kind of got tired of it. So there was nothing of it. So the next years, I went for the JLPT again, and I got the Sun Q and the new N3, JLPT N3, now with the 5 levels. So I was in a row. Like in 2008, I got the Young Q. In 2009, I got the Sun Q. Then I got the N3. So 2011, I went for the N2. However, I failed like badly. It was a disaster. Well, from N3 to N2, there's quite a gap. So, oh well, couldn't help it. However, by now I could kind of understand Japanese. So I went to Japan, this time not for work, but for traveling, sightseeing, and everything. And I went to Akihabara. I went to the game centers. I visited a lot of game centers. I met some famous players there. Also, I entered some tournaments. And of course, I tried a lot of different food. So back then, I was really amazed. Like, oh, now I can understand. Now I know Japanese. And it was really satisfying. I really thought, oh, I'm 日本語上手、日本最強. So it was really, really satisfying uh, realizing that I could understand Japanese. So with all this motivation, I went for the JLPT N2 again and failed again. So, oh well, maybe it's hard, so I'll try one more time, and I failed again. Um, the reason for this is pretty simple. Like I went to Japan, I was able to talk with the Japanese, I could understand Japanese, I could read my mangas, I can play my games. So basically all my objectives were done. So I didn't have any more motivation to keep studying and going higher. So I kind of stopped it there. However, a few years later, I read about the JICA program where you could go to Japan to study. And I saw, well, in order to get into the program, I would need to study Japanese again. However, this time I also didn't look for a Japanese school. I went back to mangas and games again. So this time I got into a scanlation group, which is where they scan the mangas and then translate it on the internet. The manga I chose was Capeta, a racing manga, since I like racing a lot. And why a scanlation group this time? Well, basically, oh, by the way, that's my name there in the credits. Basically, first, there's a translation check, like there's a reviewer. So you must do everything right. So there was times where I would check and check again and he write it everything again. I would I would have to correct a lot of things. And because of this, my translation became more sharper. Also, when I'm reading manga by myself, there are words that I don't understand or some stuff that I just ignore because it's not important. However, when you're translating for other people, you really need to get those details, the character expressions, the dialects, everything right. So something like this, when I saw this Kansai Ben for the first time, I was like, this is not Japanese, what is this? So I had to look for a Kansai Ben dictionary on the internet in order to translate this. Um, and realizing that there were other kind of Japanese language in Japan was like really fun. So it, it got me more interested in knowing more about the Japanese language. Also, I would translate not only mangas, but also I would translate like articles and news from the internet in order to practice my Japanese. And this translation, I would bring it to my teacher. Uh, it was my friend who was a teacher back then, so I would bring it to him like every day. I think I was really annoying back then, but really I was showing almost every day my translations in order to study. And well, it kind of worked. Um, After all this, I went for the N2 again and finally got it. So I got my N2, and in order to become, in order to participate in the JICA program, uh, I became a Japanese teacher, because to get into the JICA training course, I need some experience in something Japanese related. It didn't have to be a Japanese teacher, but that was the only thing I thought I could do it. So I became a Japanese teacher in the Registro Japanese Culture Association here. There's a Japanese school there, so I started teaching there. And that school was also in the São Paulo Southwest region study group. This study group are like 7 or 8 schools, Japanese schools here, which they would gather for events like uh, camping or sports or cooking. There's a lot of activities here. And well, the thing I noticed was like uh, every single teacher, every single sensei was talking Japanese. Every reunion, every meeting was in Japanese. And like I could understand what they were talking about. But since I always studied Japanese alone and by translating and such, I couldn't speak Japanese. Um, it really was really hard. Also, I was really shy, so just doing a simple self-introduction like はじめまして、ファビアノです。よろしくお願いします was like really hard. So, however, I saw like, well, I'm a Japanese teacher now. I must learn how to speak Japanese properly. So, how do I do it? Well, uh, I use it a lot of animes and mangas and games and so on until now, so I keep using. This time, I focused on animes and dramas. Uh, I would listen to the lines, pause it, repeat the lines, listen to the next line, pause it, repeat the line. Like I was repeating every line that came out in the animes and dramas in order to be able to put out my Japanese, because when I was trying to talk in Japanese, I would think a lot and nothing came out, or like didn't came out properly. So by using this repeating, I could train my brain to talk Japanese a bit more natural. Also, it really helped with the pronunciation of the words. When you're a teacher and you have some weird pronunciation, it really sticks to the students too. So I was really uh, scared of it. Like I noticed when I was talking in classes, I would use ne a lot. Like ikimasu ne. Hai, yarimashou ne. So this ne was also, my students also started using a lot, so I had to be careful with it. Also, like I said, I was really shy. I didn't really think I could talk in front of people. So by repeating the lines alone and then trying to talk with the other teachers, it really helped it. So I could really put out my voice so everyone could listen. Also, not only the dramas, but I also went to karaoke and J-pop and such. First, I would try to translate the words by myself in order to understand what I'm singing. And then I would sing like watching on YouTube or some karaoke box or such. And this helped me a lot to memorize the words because it's a song. It's easier to memorize a song rather than just words. Also, when you are singing karaoke in Japanese, a lot of kanjis show up. Well, when they have the furigana, it's still okay, but sometimes the karaoke doesn't have them, so it becomes really hard. So it kind of became a way to study kanji too. And by training my voice like every day with manga, with dramas and karaoke, I finally got able to speak in Japanese a bit better. So I went for the JICA training course in Japan in 2018-19. I spent like 3 months in Japan studying how to teach Japanese better and learning more about the Japanese culture, not only the traditional culture like origamis and shodo, but also the modern culture like the VTubers and such. It was really fun, like some of the best days of my life. We also went for a lot of places like Kyoto and Nara. So when I came back from the JICA program, uh, we had this Japanese teacher seminar in Sao Paulo where I did a presentation about the use of animes, mangas in classes, which, and then a year later, I got married. uh, so yeah, my wife is also a Japanese teacher. So by now, we talk like in Japanese at home like every day, and we watch a lot of dramas together, and also reading mangas. We have uh, a lot of mangas here. So by having this Japanese every day, I finally went for the JLPT N1 and got it uh, like 2 years before. And nowadays we have our own school, our Japanese school, where we still talk a lot about anime and Japanese culture. We try to implement some anime stuff in classes too, like this Kimetsu no Yaiba and Momotaro collaboration. uh, and well, that's about it. That's about how I studied Japanese. So I'd like to talk about a bit about how to use each media to study Japanese. First, about games. Uh, well, games are really fun. I could play them like non-stop. Like studying Japanese for 10 hours is really harsh. However, playing games for 10 hours, I could do it without any problem. So it's basically 10 hours just listening and watching Japanese. Uh, what's so good about games? Well, first there's the stories, man. So a lot of interesting stories. You wanna play more to know more about it. uh, and now a lot of games also get Netflix adaptation. So it's really deep stories, interesting ones. Also, when you're playing games in Japanese, not only Japanese, but when you're playing games, there's a lot of repetition. Like your character will say the same line like 1,000 times when you're playing. So you're attacking and he's like kurae or nani. So you hear that like 1,000 times and well, now I know what it means. Also, not only playing games, but just watching them on YouTube or Twitch can be really fun too. Um, you can watch Japanese players playing the same game as you, so it's really interesting. You can also hear them talking about the game in Japanese and try to get some words from it. And next, about mangas. Well, mangas has a lot of images, a lot of drawings, so it's a bit easier to follow even if you don't understand the text. Also, there's a lot of genres, so you can find one you like, and you can read them as many times as you want it, as many times as you need it. Like I probably read Yotsubato like 4 or 5 times by now, and when I read for the first time, well, there were a lot of things I couldn't kind of understand. Uh, like children's songs in Japanese or such. So when I read for the third or the fourth time, where I had a better understanding of the Japanese culture, I finally understood what was that song. So it's really fun to read again and notice the small details you missed it the first time. And well, uh, creating your own dictionary, I think it's a really good way to study Japanese, uh, because when you search a word or a sentence in a dictionary, um, the meaning comes up. However, sometimes that meaning doesn't match exactly the scene you are reading. So by putting your own memo, your own notes into it, it becomes a better dictionary than just an online dictionary. However, like I said, the problem with manga is the spoken language. So sometimes like there are words you can find in the dictionary or different way of talking like kansai ben or tsugaru ben. So that may be a problem. However, I think this is where we as a teacher can help a lot. Like when a student came to us and couldn't understand uh, the meaning of a word he found in a manga, like I said, oh, this one's like this. Sometimes when you're talking, instead of saying sugoi, we say suge. So after that, every word that ended with a, he kind of got the meaning. So by not only studying by himself, but also with our help, I think uh, the students can improve a lot with manga. Nowadays, there's a lot of sites where you can read manga for free online. Sometimes it's just the like the first 3 chapters or so. However, since we are just trying to learn Japanese, that's more than enough. I'll put these links later in the message. So, or in the Twitter, there are also a lot of artists who put their short mangas or yonkomas on Twitter. If you can find some Twitter artists, please follow them. It's also a good way to get more material. About using the internet, like we all use the internet every day. Uh, like I'm with my smartphone all day long. So by trying to use it in Japanese, we can really be in touch with Japanese all the time. Also, when you like some stuff in the Instagram or YouTube and it's in Japanese, the algorithm will show you more stuff in Japanese. So it's a really, it's a cycle thing. So you see something Japanese, you like it, and you get recommended more stuff in Japanese and so on. Yeah. Also, by following your favorite artists, your favorite singers in the social media, you can see what they are up to if they're releasing a new book, a new song or so. Uh, it's another, it's really interesting to know more about your favorite artists, your favorite uh, players and such on. Also, when watching streams on YouTube and Twitch, it's a really good way to become used to Japanese. Like the big streamers are a bit hard to follow, like they have a lot of viewers, so you might not get noticed or they are talking too fast. However, the small streamers like mm, 50 or 100 people watching, they are really, how can I say, like, they really pay attention when you talk to them. So even if you just send a, oh, konnichiwa, they will answer you and they will try to talk to you. Like, they will be really happy that there's someone from overseas trying to uh, talk to them, watching them play. So I really recommend trying it at least once. About animes and drama, like I said, for repeating the lines is really useful. Um, like to get used to pronunciation, to the intonation of the words. Also, animes and dramas has a lot of a lot of different characters. So you have the shy ones, you have the the delinquent ones. So you can listen to a lot of different kind of Japanese. Also, you can learn a lot of different dialects like the Kansai Ben I said before, or even Okinawa and such on. However, when you are trying to learn Japanese from animes and dramas, I recommend first trying to watch it with the subtitles in order to understand the story, what they are talking about. Then you go back and watch it one more time without the subtitles, this time trying to understand the Japanese. Uh, this way, I feel it flows better than just listening a bit and pausing, looking for the words and watching a bit more, pausing again. I feel like watching everything once with subtitles, going back and watching without subtitles is a better way to get used to the Japanese more naturally. Also, when you are using music or karaoke to learn Japanese, well, first, I recommend trying to the try to translate the lyrics first. Uh, Not finding the translation online, that's cheating. So try to translate by yourself. Then you have to memorize the lyrics in order to sing it. So you can get a lot of new words from it. And well, just by singing, you are practicing Japanese. So I really recommend to sing a lot. And also when you are singing karaoke, there's a lot of kanji. So you have to learn those too. It's really a complete package, right? You can uh, practice your pronunciation, you can practice your voice, you can practice your translation and also your kanji. So basically, when using all these medias to learn Japanese, the important part is that uh, you put yourself in a lot of different situations where you use Japanese. Uh, the Japanese you found in a game might be different from the Japanese from a manga like Tokyo Revengers, which may be different from a romance manga like Chihaya Furu. So these different situations is really important when trying to learn Japanese. Also, not using only one media like manga or only games, but using a lot of different media. Um, it's really a way to not get bored, not get tired of Japanese. Like you may get a burnout if you watch it too much. So try to get some variation. And also, when you are interested in something, it doesn't really matter if it's too difficult, if it's too hard. Like when I tried to read that guide back then, it was really hard. However, it was something I was interested. Uh, so I went for it anyways. It's different when just you are studying in a Japanese school. The Japanese material we have, the books we have, they are really careful not to put like kanjis we didn't study yet, or words that we don't know, or like grammar we don't know. However, when you are playing games or you are reading manga, there's none of it. They will throw out all the kanjis, all the words at you at once. So you have to learn it somehow. It's really harsh, it's really hard. However, if you're interested in it, it can become a really great motivation for you. Also, getting into a routine like reading a bit of manga every day, well, that's really important. However, the most important one is trying to put Japanese language into your daily life. So when I'm using internet in Japanese, I may not be studying Japanese, but I'm in touch with it. So for example, when a new student comes to our school and he says, "Oh, I watch anime every day," you can really notice that they kind of get the words quite fast when practicing conversation or practicing any new words. They kind of get it really quickly, probably because they are watching so much, they are listening so much in Japanese. They may not realize it, but it's like inside their heads there's some Japanese there, so it's our job as teachers to be able to pull it out. So like just be in touch with Japanese every day. I think it's the really most important one. So I really, when I find something interesting, I will definitely share with my students so they can be in touch with a bit more of Japanese. There's a student that really likes like turtles. It's like turtle otaku. So every time I see something about turtles in Japan, I will send it to her. Oh, there's this zoo where there's a lot of turtles. I would send it to her. So with this, she learned a lot of new words. Well, everything was related to turtles, but well, it's new words, so it's fine. And well, and that's about it. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Uh, well, and I talked a lot of my experience in learning Japanese. Also, I saw there's a lot of Japanese teachers there, so maybe some stuff was, oh, it's the same all around the world. And well, that's it. ありがとうございました。And now we'd like to move to the questions part. If anyone has any questions, it can be about the presentation, it can be about like anything. Anything's fine.
Can I ask you some questions then?
Oh, please.
When you were watching animes and manga at the time, did you study Japanese with a textbook or nothing? Just watched movies and read mangas?
Oh, I also use some textbooks. I I wasn't going to a Japanese school, but I was always looking for some study material on the internet. Um, so like by only playing games, I saw I could understand the games. However, for the JLPT, I will have to study more about the structures and and so on. So yeah, I also use some textbook, especially the JLPT ones. However, the most of the words and the grammar kind of came from mangas and such.
Okay, thank you. Then,
Thank
how
you.
many hours did you study Japanese? You said every day, but I'm
Oh,
curious.
how many hours? Well, it was like uh, I was working with my father in our small shop. So whenever I was free, I would be studying a bit of Japanese. And well, I also play a lot of games. So well, I'd say I'd be actively studying Japanese like maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. However, I would be playing games in Japanese like up to 6, 7 hours a day, maybe.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Um, well, I don't really recommend it to my students, but it's something I did. Yeah. Oh, how to study from N2 to N1. Oh, that's a good one. Um, well, first, I use it textbook. It's what was the name? It's something like the Taigo Kaku JLPT N1 or something. It's um what was the name? Like Mogi Shiken something. For the N1, it has a lot of uh, uh, JLPT questions. So it's like in order to get to N1, to be honest, it's not really just knowing Japanese, but also how the JLPT works. So I did a lot of JLPT questions for the N1, but I think the most effective one is like reading a lot because first, the JLPT, the time is really strict. There's so little time for so many questions and so much text. So you really need to read everything fast. Also, by reading a lot, you get a lot of new words, new vocabulary, which is probably the most important part of JLPT. When you are just like studying for the JLPT, there's like too many words to learn. So just by studying textbooks, it's probably not enough. So by reading a lot of articles, a lot of stuff in Japanese, that was probably the one that helped the most for me at least. And the listening part of the JLPT, I feel like the Japanese level from the listening part is a bit lower than the rest of the test. Like the reading part, I find it's the hardest one. So the listening is not that hard. So if you can like talk to someone in Japanese every day in order to practice, or like just listening to a lot of Japanese, be it dramas or TV shows or anything, it's probably enough for the listening part. So the hardest one, the reading and the grammar ones, I would really recommend to read a lot, anything from news to Harry Potter to mangas to anything. Mm. Oh, thank you. Okay, any more questions? Makino 先生、なんか ありますか？
はい、お疲れ様でした。
はい、お疲れ様でした。
いかがでしたか？英語でのプレゼンは。英語と日
ああ、
本語だとどちらがあれなんですか？
おー
どちらが話しやすい？
うーん、わからん。多分、今、もしかして日本語かな？
おー、
うん。なんか数年前は多分英語の方が自然だけど、
うん、
結婚してからもう3年な
うん、
ので、結
うん。
婚してからずっと日本語を喋ってるから英語あ
おー、
まり練習してない。
ああ、そうなんですか。
は
そ
い。プレ
れはそれは。
ゼンの前、本当に緊張してたんだけど、まあ、英語はまあまあできてよかった。
そうですか、そうですか。お疲れ様でした。それでは、特に質問がなければ、これで終わりたいと思いますが。
はい。So, well, if there's any question or if you wanna know more about animes and games and so on, you can find me on Instagram. You just send me a message there. We can talk more about using animes and such on in classes. So please give me a follow there. Thank you very much.
では、これで終わりとしましょうか。それでは、お疲れ
はい。
様でした。
はい、お疲れ様でした。